Hello AP students, hope everything's going good with you guys. Try to keep my video short today if I can, in under 15 minutes. Make sure if you haven't watched the video clip that you go and watch it. Most of the responses I've got back are from girls, so therefore that's why I chose the Disney video clip. If you want a different video clip, then I guess go find your own. The another one I was thinking of, because I'm a super nerd, is Lord of the Rings. The very beginning of their video series, they've got a good intro into it. But we're going to be talking about contextualization and writing a thesis today. So make sure you've got your rubric pulled up and you've got the actual DBQ document, which we're going to be going over, pulled up as well. Okay. Contextualization, what is it? You get 1 point for it. Give you a heads up. I'm going over this one first because this probably should be your opening paragraph, should contain both your contextualization and your thesis. Again, you don't get points for writing an introductory paragraph. You don't get points for writing a conclusion, but I would make this my first thing I did would be contextualization. You don't have to make it first, but most of the kids who get the point write this one first. If you're not going to put it at the very beginning of your essay because you just don't like putting it there, that's fine. But please put it at the very end then. Don't be one of those kids that writes it in the middle, because those kids never get that point. They think they did, and they didn't. So I would advise you to put it very first thing, because as we talk about this, it just fits in there. Number one, what the heck is contextualization? Well, you get 1 point for it right here. It says it describes a broader historical context relevant to the prompt. I think that's a terrible definition because they use the word context in the description there. But you know it's broad and it's got to be relevant to the prompt. Over here is a better one. To earn the point, the response must relate the topic of the prompt to broader historical events, developments, or processes that occur before, during, or continue after the time frame of the question. And that is pretty much the definition. What are you supposed to do? You're giving me some broader historical events and developments that occur either before, during, or continue after the time frame. So that right there is key. You have to concentrate yourself around the time frame. Now, if we're going to relate this back to the video, what did that video clip tell us about the movie that we need to know? Number one, we needed to know the attitude of the prince. He's a greedy, heartless, you-know-what. He has no love in him. Step two, the transformation, why, he was transformed into the beast. We learned about it. And lastly, we know about the spell and what needs to break that spell. The reason that's important is so that they can tell you the other events that happen in the movie, and that you understand those are the underlying issues that is going on throughout that video. Every time you start watching it and it gets to a key part, always keep in mind it's always bringing you back to, we're trying to change the attitude of the prince so that he can move from this beast creature back to his normal self, breaking that spell. Those three things that we just got through talking about. That's why that contextualization is so important. Now, your contextualization needs to be broad. Right here, I'm highlighting it. It needs to be broad. That doesn't mean we don't have any specifics. I mean, in the contextualization of that video, what did we have? We had, she was a beggar, she offered him a rose. Specifics. There was a magic mirror, led him to the outside world. Spell's broken at the last petal falls. It's an enchanted rose, and he's 21 years old when the spell's gonna finally, when it's over, he's got till his 21st birthday, pretty much. So we did learn some specifics there. With all that being said, it has to relate to the prompt and has to be into that time period. So let's remind ourselves what the prompt is. Go over and click on the DBQ itself. What is our time frame? 1860, pull it up right here, 1860 to 1918. What happened before that time period? That has to do with railroads, empire building, and Afro-Eurasia. And you say, man, I don't know where to start. Well, what's going on? Industrialization and imperialism. And next, I don't know if you're reading the documents, but I saw a country in particular that kind of stuck itself out there. Document 1, what do we have? The British. Document 2, it doesn't say British, but we know that the context of what's going on here is the Opium Wars, and who's behind the Opium Wars? The British. Document 3, hey look, the Suez Canal is controlled by the British. Document 4, hey look, who's wanting to build this railroad across Africa? The British, right here, British, right? It's in British territory. And finally, document 5, we have a British guy, we have an Englishman writing about the Trans-Siberian Railroad. So if it's just me, this one pretty obviously says, hey, give me some background information about England, Britain, and it needs to be related to what? Industrialization, imperialism, and railroads. So with all that being said, I need you to pause the video right now and basically answer the question that's going to appear on your screen. Okay, what I want you guys to do is brainstorm this question right here that I've put before you guys. Hopefully it'll zoom in and you can see the question, but I'll read it to you. What do you know right now about Britain when it concerns industrialization and imperialism? So take about 2 minutes. Don't take very long. What do you know about Britain when it comes to industrialization and imperialism? Just write down words, phrases, whatever you can think of in 2 minutes. Pause the video. Okay, so here are some notes that I took down about it. Number 1, what do we know about England? They are an island nation, right? They're surrounded by water. Number 2, what do we know? We know they were the first country to really industrialize. I wrote down they had a powerful navy and they had easy access to sea trade. But let's think back to the prompt. We've got down some stuff. The prompt is about railroads. What did England have that's going to help them do railroads, that's going to help them industrialize? Steam power. Sure, they had rivers, but that's not really going to help when it comes to railroads. What did they have? They had large deposits of coal. That would be a specific that would relate to them industrializing and imperializing when it comes to railroads. And another thing, what was their economic policy when it concerned colonies? Mercantilism. They're concerned with providing raw materials and trying to get raw materials from their colonies, trying to get labor from their colonies just for them. That's the purpose of their policies when it comes to mercantilism and capitalism. I wouldn't necessarily use the word mercantilism, but I would explain that sentence there below. They believed that their empire was to provide raw materials and labor and goods for the mother country. That is its main focus.